It was the same with Marguerite at first. I just didn't have the room. I mean inside me. When I started to feel feelings, I realised I'd have to make space for her and me feelings, because loving her came on top of everything else. All the stuff already cluttering up my head, and I hadn't planned for it. So I did some clearing out. It made me realise there wasn't much there I wanted to keep hold of. My head was a jumble of stupid rubbish. TV game shows, radio phone-ins, conversation with Jojo Zakouk at Chez Francine Cafe Restaurant, playing a couple of hands of Bellate with Marco, Julian and Landramon. And then there were the nights I went round to see Annette to dip me wick and be all lovey-dovey. But that's good for the brain, actually, because you can't think when you've got blue balls. Or not properly, anyway, not deeply. I'll tell you about Annette another time. Things are different now between Annette and me. Chapter 2. The first time I saw Marguerite, she was sitting on that bench over there, under the big linden tree next to the pond. It was about 3 in the afternoon, the sun was shining and the weather was much too warm for the season. It's not good for the trees. They start budding like nobody's business, and then if there's a cold snap, all the flowers die off and there's not much fruit. She was dressed the same as always. Obviously, that first day, I couldn't know that she always dressed like that. You only find out other people's habits when you get to know them. The first time you meet, you can't know what's going to happen. You don't know if maybe you'll fall in love. If you'll even remember the first time later on. Or maybe you'll end up screaming abuse and pissing each other off. Or maybe you'll just become friends, with all the ifs and ahs that go with it. The maybes are the worst. Marguerite was sitting there, doing nothing, staring into space. She was facing the lawn and the far end of the main path. She was wearing a print dress with grey and purple flowers the same colour as her hair, a tightly buttoned grey jacket and dark stockings and shoes. Next to her on the bench was a black handbag. I couldn't help thinking she was being careless. Leaving her handbag like that, I could nick it any time I wanted. When I say I doesn't mean personally. I, in this case, stands for people in general. Well, chavs anyway. Especially since she's a little old lady. Doing a run would be a piece of piss. You just push her with the flat of your hand, a quick shove would be enough. She falls down with a little yelp, fractures her hip, and lies there half dead while you, obviously, I don't mean you or me, personally, you make a quick getaway, simple as. In fact, by now, you'd already be long gone. Don't ask me how I know this stuff. Look, all I'm saying is she wasn't being careful. I might just as easily not have been to the park the Monday I met her. I might have been busy. I might have been up to my eyes. What do you think I do with me time? Some days, I've got things I have to do. Measuring the trunks of the fir trees along the bypass, using my hands to check for deforestation. Half of them are going to die. I'm sure they are. That's why I check. It's hardly surprising they die when you see the botched job the guys from the Municipal Parks Committee make of the planting. Training to run for as long as possible, shooting tin cans with an air gun outside the caravan. It's all about breathing and reflexes. I need to be ready in case I'm ever caught up in a terrorist attack, or if we have to save people or something. And there's a bunch of other things. Different stuff. For example, I whittle bits of wood with me hopping old penknife. I carve animals and little figurines, people I see in the street, cats, dogs, anything and anyone. Other days I go to the park to count the pigeons. On the way, I write my name in capital letters on the marble plaque underneath a soldier on the war memorial. Obviously, every time I do, someone they send from the council cleans it off and gives me a bollocking. Oh, you've got to stop with this shit, Germain. We've had enough. Next time you'll have to clean it off yourself. I wouldn't mind, but the markers are supposed to be indelible. Impossible to efface or erase. See, also, inerasable. And they cost me quite a bit. In fact, I'm going to tell them down at the stationery shop that this is false advertising. The pack was clearly marked for all surfaces. I've been gypped. Marble's a surface. Unless I'm very much mistaken, as Marguerite always says. Anyway, as soon as my name has been erased, I've got no choice but to start over again. It doesn't matter to me, I'm a patient man. If I keep going, they might end up leaving it. Besides, I can't see where the arm is. My name's right down at the bottom. It's not even in alphabetical order. And I could kick up a fuss because Shaz doesn't even come at the end, far from it. By rights, I should be 5th on their list, between Pierre Boisvert and Ernest Combereau. One day I said this to Jack Duval down at the town hall. He's a civil serpent. He nodded. He said that basically I was right, that lists of names are made to have other names added. Though it has to be said that he added, but there's something you need to bear in mind. Oh,